Good day, folks. I'm here in Edinburgh today at the West End of Edinburgh, and we're going to talk about this monument and the Heart of Midlothian Football Club during the First World War years. Okay, so this is a monument now. It was erected in 1922, this monument. As you can see, that's the tribute to them there. Erected by the Heart of Midlothian Football Club to the memory of their players and members who fell in the Great War, 1914 to 19... There we are. It was moved a while back there, I think due to tram works away back there when the trams first, the building stages, if you like, the formation stages. But after that, it was all brought back here to the West End, and it's remained here ever since. Now, it was between August and November 1914-16, Heart of Midlothian Football Club players enlisted to fight the World War I. In doing so, they became the first British team to sign up en masse. The majority joined the 16th Service Battalion of the Royal Scots. Otherwise known as Macrae's Battalion. On the first day of the Battle of the Somme in 1916, the British Army lost nearly 20,000 men, including 3 of Heart's footballers who had signed up. The war ended up claiming the lives of 7 of the Heart's players who had enlisted, with several others returning so severely wounded they were unable to play football again. A memorial was erected in Edinburgh in 1922 to honour these men and the many others who fought in the 2 world wars. That's it behind me. It is presently situated in the Haymarket near the offices where the main batch of players enlisted. Hearts began the 1914-15 season with 8 straight victories, including a 2-0 defeat of reigning champion Celtic. However, Britain had declared war on Germany in August 1914, and an ongoing public debate took place as to whether it was appropriate for professional football to continue while young soldiers were dying on the front line. The matter was debated in Parliament, and a motion was placed before the Scottish Football Association, the SFA, to postpone the season, with one of its backers, Airdrieonians chairman Thomas Forsyth, declaring that playing football while our men are fighting is repugnant. Well, this motion was defeated at the ballot box, with the SFA opting to wait for War Office advice. The noted East London philanthropist Frederick Charrington was orchestrated a public campaign to have professional football in Britain suspended. and achieving great popular support for his cause, the prime tactic of Charrington's campaign was to shame football players and officials into action through public and private denouncement. Letters were sent in to newspapers. The Edinburgh Evening News published one signed "A Soldier's Daughter," which suggested that while Hearts continued to play football, enabled thus to pursue their peaceful play by the sacrifice of the lives of thousands of their countrymen, they might accept temporarily a nom de plume, say the White Feathers of Midlothian. Hearts, however, had already made active efforts to aid the war effort. 2 players enlisted before a ball was even kicked in the season, on 16th of August 1914. Former Hearts director Harry Rawson, chairman of the Edinburgh Territorial Force Association, asked manager John McCartney if the club would use its influence to encourage recruiting. McCartney agreed to allow the authorised access to Tynecastle on March days in order to canvass for volunteers. On the 20th of August, it was announced that the entire playing staff would take part in weekly drill sessions to prepare them the possibility of military service. The initiation was also extended to the players of rivals Hibernian to join in, several of whom accepted. On 14th November, the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders made an urgent appeal for volunteers at half-time in March at Tynecastle against Falkirk. The initial response was disappointing, but at full time several men stepped forward, including Hearts winger James Speedy. In response to increasing appeals for volunteers, Sir George McRae, a popular figure in Edinburgh, announced in November 1914 that he would raise a battalion himself, the 16th Royal Scots, and he boasted it would be full within 7 days. At this time, Hearts comfortably led the First Division, but 11 of their players, in addition to the 3 players already serving, enlisted en masse on 25th November 1914, with a further 5 being declared unfit to serve. The following day, a further 2 players signed up, bringing the total up to 16 Hearts footballers enlisted in the services, McRae's battalion. As it came to be, was the original Sportsman Battalion. At least 30 professional footballers enlisted, including players from Hibernian, Raith Rovers, Falkirk and Dunfermline, as well as Hearts. The battalion was to become the 16th Royal Scots and was the first to earn the Footballers' Battalion sobriquet. The group of volunteers also contained some 500 Hearts supporters and ticket holders, as well as 150 of Hibernian followers. Military training was thus added to the Hearts players' football training regime, and on the side, at a 20-game unbeaten run between October and February, the press described Hearts football as a dainty dazzling and being full of pace and panache. However, exhausted from their army exertions, twice including 10-hour nocturnal marches, the right before a league game eventually led to a drop in form, as several enlisted players missed key games. Defeats to St Mirren, and Morton allowed Celtic to usurp the Maroons and eventually claim the league title by 4 points. The Edinburgh Evening News expressed sympathy for Hearts and criticised their rivals. Between them, the two leading Glasgow clubs, Celtic and Rangers, have not sent a single prominent player to the army. There is only one football champion in Scotland, and its colours are maroon and khaki. As the war progressed, more Hearts players joined the services, including Captain Bob Mercer, who was conscripted in 1916 in spite of his cruciate injury and despite having been turned down in November 1914 when he attempted to enlist with his teammates. Of the Hearts players that survived the war, several returned to play for the club again, including George Sinclair, Paddy Crossan, Bob Mercer. In 1919, they reached the final of the Victory Cup. Mercer, however, was never the same player, but continued playing until retiring in 1924. He was persuaded to return for a farewell appearance in a friendly match against Selkirk at Ettrick Park in 1926. A few minutes into the game, Mercer suffered a fatal heart attack. Crossan's end was similar. He succumbed to his gas injuries in 1933. Sinclair fared better and continued to play football into the 1920s, including a spell in the United States. He went on to run Sinclair's Bar in the Abbey Hill area of Edinburgh until his death in 1959. Hearts unveiled a memorial clock tower in Edinburgh's Haymarket, we're here now, junction on the 9th of April 1922, the 5th anniversary of the opening of the Battle of Arras. Secretary of State for Scotland, Robert Munro, told the attending crowd of 65,000 that the country owed a debt of gratitude to Hearts that could never be repaid. In 2013, following a period in storage during tramway construction, the Heart of Midlothian War Memorial returned close to its original location in time to mark the 100th year since the start of World War I and the formation of Macrae's Battalion in October 2014. The battalion was inducted into the Scottish Football Hall of Fame. Every Remembrance Sunday, officials, players and supporters of Hearts of Midlothian Football Club gather to pay their respects. There also exists a Great War Committee which has raised funds to finance a commemorative cairn at Contal-Maison in France. In 2018, the interactive play of War of Two Halves was presented at Tynecastle, dealing with the stories of the original 13 players who joined the 16th Service Battalion of the Royal Scots. It was first shown as part of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe on 27th of August 2018. It ran again in the run-up to the centenary of the armistice of 11th November 1918. So there we are, folks. That's an insight to the Hearts of Midlothian, football players who lost their lives during the First World War. And rightly so, this plaque commemorates them all. Okay? So, signing off now from Munro's Journeys, and hope to see you next time round. Bye for now.